If you're someone who generally needs to have a lot of control, and especially if you've been controlling in your intimate relationships, one of the reasons might be resentment. On the surface, needing control and resentment might not seem to be related, but they can be. Resentment is a sneaky emotion that develops from suffering injustices. Then it stays with us for a lifetime if left unexposed. And it can subconsciously cause conduct that harms our partners, damages our relationships, and ultimately hurts us. Hi, I'm Michael Clark with the Ananias Foundation. In this video, we're going to talk about resentment, what it is, where it comes from, how it can hurt us and others, and most importantly, how we can overcome it. If you want to stop causing harm in your relationships, you're on the right path. This is Journey of Change, a video series to help you become the safe, loving partner you were meant to be. We're talking about resentment and how it can seep into our relationships. To illustrate this, let me give you a couple of examples. Let's say you feel a need to stay in charge, to keep your partner from embarrassing you. As you dig deeper into that need, you see that it comes from being humiliated when you were younger. You swore, maybe subconsciously, that you were never going to let that happen again. This controlling, maybe even abusive behavior is being driven by resentment of your past humiliation. Here's another example. Let's say you were a single parent, bearing the brunt of childcare while also working full-time and trying to finish your education. Now, let's say you've met a great person with a thriving career, but you find yourself putting them down for not being as successful as you think they should be. What's going on here? It could be that you're resentful about having to work so hard to make ends meet when you were younger. Now, it's hard for you to see others, in this case your partner, enjoying success without struggling. One good definition of resentment that I've seen is anger and indignation experienced as a result of unfair treatment. Resentment can come from real-life wrongs that happen to us, but it can also come from injustices that we've just imagined. Now, to be fair, we all feel resentful sometimes. Usually it's a temporary feeling that goes away when we've received an apology or maybe realize that we've misinterpreted things. However, it can also be an emotion that sticks with us for months or even years. This second form is the one that's the most damaging to us, our relationships, and others around us. So, if you're wondering if you may be harboring some resentment, here are some signs. First, continually feeling a strong emotion like anger when you think about a specific person or experience. It might be that you can't stop thinking about an event that was particularly hurtful to you. Wanting to get revenge on someone for something is another sign of resentment. A fourth one is feeling deflated when other people succeed. The opposite is also a sign. If you're happy about another person failing, that's a strong signal that you're resentful. If you feel invisible, inadequate, or less than, it's another indication that you're carrying resentment. Here's some insight. Resentment always has a blame component. It's someone else's fault that I feel bad. When we have this thought, we feel a need to retaliate and punish that person for causing us pain. All this stops us from feeling peace and enjoying life. Worse yet, it can drive us into behaving in ways that harms our partners. Where does resentment come from? Like a lot of our emotional baggage, resentment often has its roots in our childhood. Like the first example I shared, if you were bullied by your siblings or your peers, you may have vowed to yourself that you will never, ever be humiliated or disrespected again. But it's not just childhood experiences that can create resentment. It can happen because of things that we face in adulthood too. Here are some experiences that could lead to resentment. The first is unbalanced responsibilities. Let's say that you feel that you are constantly doing all the difficult or thankless jobs. For example, if you're the primary breadwinner or the one who does all the housework and childcare, or the one who always initiates intimacy. These are cases of unbalanced responsibilities. A similar one is unbalanced power. If one partner in a relationship feels that their voice is not being heard or their needs aren't being met, they may begin to harbor resentment. Medical issues are a third source of resentment that can settle into our adult lives. Sometimes when one person becomes a caregiver for their chronically ill partner, they start to feel resentment. This is especially true when their own needs are not being met. Finally, hurtful words can have this effect. Over time, hurtful words can build up in our memories and do damage. This is true whether the words were intended to hurt or not. If nasty, damaging words have been part of your relationship, you and your partner will need to talk through these incidents and restore that sense of care and respect. Otherwise, resentment is likely to grow. The effect of resentment is that it hurts us, our relationship, our loved ones. Holding a grudge doesn't bring happiness into our lives. In fact, it's a sure way to make the pain of injustice last longer. Nelson Mandela famously said, "Resentment is the poison you drink, hoping to hurt your enemy." Here's what can happen if we're resentful. First, resentful people often believe that they'll feel better by tearing others down. Maybe this is not a conscious thought, but a subconscious one. We try to manage our unpleasant feelings by devaluing our partner with harsh, personal criticism. Of course, it doesn't work. We don't feel better when we do this. Another behavior we use is defensiveness. We quickly deflect any criticism that comes our way. It makes it impossible for our partner to raise legitimate complaints with us. Power struggles are a third thing that can happen when we're resentful. We try to exert power or win by force during a conflict rather than taking a more conciliatory approach, like trying to reconcile and reconnect with our partner. A fourth symptom of resentment is stonewalling. We either shut down or shut out our loved one as a way to punish them or get even. This is a version of fighting to win rather than working to solve problems or to reconcile. Showing contempt is yet another bad behavior we can exhibit when we're resentful. This is when we're unable to see our partner and their actions in a balanced, generous way. We assume the worst about them, and often our assumptions aren't true. All these behaviors can cause our partner to experience anxiety, or sometimes they describe it as walking on eggshells as they try not to upset us, which is an impossible task. These things, done repeatedly, are emotional abuse. Our partner would be justified in ending the relationship, but even if they hang in there, at best, they'll develop their own resentment, destroying the closeness and intimacy they have with us. At worst, they'll suffer psychological and emotional harm. The irony of our behavior when we're carrying around resentment is that our actions only make us feel worse in the long run. Making someone feel bad about themselves provides no resolution for our feelings and no payback for the past. Instead, every harsh word and cold shoulder turns on us, and we end up resenting ourselves more each day. What can we do to break the shackles of these negative feelings? Rather than punishing our partner or another person for our negative feelings, we can use those uncomfortable emotions as motivation to heal ourselves. That healing process starts with acknowledging and facing our resentment and the hurt that lies underneath it. Often, simply talking about what's bothering us reduces the resentment we feel. The process continues when we move on and forgive. Now, a note here. Forgiving is not excusing or forgetting. It also doesn't necessarily mean that we restore our relationship with that person. In fact, we may still have every right to feel angry, hurt, or offended, and for our own safety or sanity, to maintain a healthy distance from them. But when we forgive, we willingly give up that right to get revenge. In doing so, we remove the power of that event or person to continue to hurt us, and we open ourselves up to a better future. While getting rid of resentment can be difficult, let's look at some strategies for stopping it. The first one is reimagining our identity. Sometimes anger or regret becomes part of our identity, especially when we've held on to it for so long. We might do this out of a sense of security or familiarity. Recognizing this and envisioning who we'd be without our resentment can help us to let go of it. A second technique for letting go of resentment is to practice self-compassion. Resentment is often linked to the lack of compassion we received in the past. Practicing self-compassion now can help us fill that void and heal the hurts we endured back then. What would the adult you say to comfort the child you? What would you tell your best friend if they were in a similar situation? These are the same words you can and should tell yourself. A third strategy for letting go of resentment is to be empathetic with those who hurt you. I know this may be hard and it seems counterintuitive, but it works. Often the person or people that caused our resentment didn't understand the damage they were doing. Other times they were acting out of their own woundedness. Our young, inexperienced, or substance-addicted parent may have been doing their very best. Those school bullies were probably facing problems at home. Realizing that others may be hurting as much as we are helps reduce our resentment. Finally, I encourage you to cultivate gratitude. When we have feelings of resentment and they start to bubble up, try listing things that you're grateful for. It's a very powerful way to shift what your mind is focused on. You can literally make yourself happier by redirecting your thoughts. Push back on any self-talk that says you're a victim. Reframe your experience. For example, if your partner left you for someone else and that was really hurtful to you, focus on the opportunities you've had to grow, develop your self-esteem, and learn to be less needy in future relationships. Counseling can help us discover the reasons for our resentment, learn how to communicate our feelings, and practice strategies for letting go. If you can, I really encourage you to work with one to help guide you through this challenging process. Whatever work you do will pay big dividends in the quality of your life. I'm Michael Clark with the Ananias Foundation, and I hope you found this discussion about resentment helpful. Take care, and I'll see you in another video. Thanks for joining me today. I'm honored to be on this journey of change with you, and I hope I've helped you in some way. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. We'd love to hear from you. Also, be sure to hit the like button, share this with others who might find it helpful, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our future videos. For more resources, head to our website, ananiasfoundation.org. Until next time, take care and remember, change is possible.